It doesn't. I don't have anything in the game. I'm just trying stuff.
Has anything landed so far?
Not as much as I would like to.
Maybe you should try harder with just letting things land.
Yeah. But I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
I'm totally okay with it.
We're missing Dominic here. I was in it. I love the idea of letting things land, and not having a judgment value, like not having an attachment to the outcome. I've seen that as a significant change in my life for the better.
Just froze.
It's made quite a change to my day today.
There's only one thing that I really needed to land, though. I need really a lift from Seattle to Lacona. I really need a lift.
Well,
yeah. Other than that, everything is fine.
Well, there's still time for that to come.
Yeah, I know.
Right? There's still time.
So, Michael, reflecting that question back on you, what shifted?
So much lately, really. I started haphazardly keeping track of serendipitous experiences in my life, where I would ask for something and then see if it appeared around me somewhere, a la Dominic. And what I'm seeing is a bit of a pattern of the more I am free of expectation, the more easily things seem to show up in my life. The most recent example would be with the gym. I thought I had it sold a little while ago, and recently I've been selling the equipment. And up until the end of maybe last week, I was pretty stressed about it. Like, I was walking around, my shoulders were aching, my back was aching, everything just like physically uncomfortable. And I started looking at why that might be, and what I arrived at was that it was stress. Stress over the business, stress over at the timelines of going back to school, stress over, going back to school and leaving, this gym to be cleaned out by Julie and my son, right? And as soon as I saw the stress around that, it kind of fell away, as things are prone to. And the next day I had an email from someone who came in the following day and bought all of the equipment in one lot.
Huh.
Yeah. So, I mean, I don't know if there is anything in that or not, but it seems to me that the more I take my hands off of life, the more it kind of has the more it just seems to, things just seem to show up. Does that resonate with anyone else? Does anyone else have that experience?
It's funny that you say that about kind of keeping track, because I just had that thought last night. It was just kind of one of these things where it was like, I'm going to just kind of keep starting to be more aware of those coincidences, let's call them. Let's just say a la Dominic. And I just started that last night.
What a coincidence. So you started doing that last night, and here we are talking about it this morning, kind of affirming an action almost, right?
Yeah.
It's too weird. What does anyone else? So I guess, can we, before we drift back on or around this conversation, I've been thinking about, the book club. It was begun really with as a way for me to get to speak to people that I wanted to speak to, and as a byproduct, all of you, which is amazing. What would you guys, or what do you think you guys would get the most out of in these Saturday morning little conversations? Anyone can chime in with that. Lena, yourself as well. Like the title, and I'll say one last thing, and then maybe we'll get some feedback. I changed the name of the group to Book Club and Coaching Roundtable. And as much as I love the book club, as much as I love reading and always having having an excuse to read and chat, I would really like, I think I'm heading in the direction of opening it up more towards the roundtable aspect. So still meeting on Saturday mornings, we can still have books to read, but broadening the topic of conversation. I'd love to try to get more people involved, and maybe it's a timing issue, but I wonder if maybe the formality of book club keeps people from joining the conversation. You know, well, I haven't read the book, I can't be involved in the conversation, which we all know isn't the case. Right? Francis, how's your reading going along?
I finished the book and he didn't.
I liked the beginning. I got really into it.
Right.
And then I got sidetracked. But I agree that my experience has been so positive. Even though I've not really kept up with reading, I think I enjoy the club more.
Oh, interesting, eh?
Although I do use the book club to motivate me to read. Well,
you do or you don't?
External motivation.
Judging by what's behind you, I would say you don't need a whole lot of motivation. It looks to me like you've got that covered. So what other thoughts do you have? Like there's 400 some odd people in the book club, which is cool. And you know, there's maybe 8 or 6, 7, 10 people that show up with some regularity here. What do you think how do you, I love it small. It was very intimate. It was very intimate when it started. You know, there were 6 or 8 Canadians, and now we've gone international, and I'm feeling responsibility to provide something to these 400 people. And anyway, so so there's a bit of a ramble there. What do y'all think?
I like the expansion to, like, I love our discussions because sometimes they're about the book and sometimes they're just about life and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
I like the expansion to the coaching roundtable part. I love that conversation with Dominic over the solution-based, coaching. So I like that. And I just say, circling back to the beginning of the conversation, letting go of the attachment.
Right.
And letting it unfold with however many people. Like, I have to say, I love our group. I love our Saturday mornings.
Mm-hmm. Kaylin. Yeah, I mean, I guess if it sounds like no one is objecting to anything I've said. So if we kind of run as we've been running, that's cool. If everyone is good with that, I just kind of wanted to touch base. What I don't want the group to be about, I'm realizing, is the esoteric conversation about, well, what is consciousness? Which is a cool conversation to have, but I think it's impossible to have these conversations without having an agreement on what the languages that we're using. We have to define so much stuff to actually have a conversation around it. And to me, I'd rather hear from someone about the positive stuff that's happening in their life now. Not so much an esoteric theoretical conversation about what we think we know to be true. How does that? Okay, I see Kathy's laughing at that. What did you like there, Kathy?
I was laughing at the language you just used. What we think we know to be true.
Well, and that,
I always laugh at what we think we know.
Well, and it's funny. That was sort of my question. Like, I'd love to be able to just throw stuff. Like lately, I've been exploring where insights come from, and it's not because I want to be right or anything. It's just because it's a neat conversation for me, to look at. I'm not, right, wrong, doesn't matter. But the question that I was pondering this morning or the last couple of days is, what do we actually know for sure?
Nothing.
Yeah. That's just kind of occurred to me over the last little while. It's like, well, we don't actually know anything for sure, despite what you may think.
Maybe that we are alive.
Well,
but just maybe.
Yeah, to me, it seems like everything has a big maybe, like a big, well, it depends. Well, what do you think about this? Well, it depends. Which is the standard answer in the gym, in the fitness world, right? Well, should I do this? Well, it depends. It's a great way to buy time. So as a serious question, what, like, do we actually ever know anything?
No.
We talk about the principles, and other people talk about the principles, and they go online and they say, this is how the principles are. And someone else says, no, this is how the principles are. And someone else says, no, this is how the principles are. I'm
It's
coming more.
mystical. It's a mystical knowledge.
Yeah, I'm becoming more and more okay with the fact that I don't have a clue. You know, like, I don't know. Life is amazing. Life has gotten so much better on such a degree since I stumbled across whatever these principles are. But I don't care about knowing what the principles are anymore. You know, like, I mean, I could give you some kind of an intellectual description of what I think these things are, and that's cool. But do we need to do anything more than that?
I don't think so.
No?
I think we just get so caught up in all that it's just like, you know, like even what you said there is that, you know, things have changed for you that you don't need to know. Maybe you, in the beginning, you wanted to know. I think when you stay open and stay curious, you leave space for new things to come into that, to pop into that, to pop out, to stay, you know. But I think there's magic to staying open and staying curious.
There's magic to staying open and staying curious. I love the birds. Who's got the birds in the background? Martina, is that you?
More than likely, I'm outside.
Yes.
I'm the only one outside, so.
That was like a really cool accompaniment there, Jesse.
It was.
Well done, nature.
I have woods behind my house, and it's a little creek, and so Canadian with beaver in the creek.
That's pretty damn Canadian.
And I live in the city, by the way, so.
So, what do you think? What Jesse said about, Jesse Lynn said about leaving time and space. I mean, to me, we're back to where we started with it, you know, allowing things to happen, to just allow them to just be and come into being and fade out of being.
Getting, you know, words from, I think we're listening right now to Jack Pransky's book on Audible when we're driving.
Which one, Kathy?
Someone Should Have Told Us.
Oh yeah, right.
And we're doing Michael Neal's 3-week thing.
Nice.
And you know, so I keep hearing the words that if you think you know, then you're not open.
Right.
To learning, you're not open to new information if you think you already know. And both of them say that in some way or another, and I think that's pretty strong. And in most of what I'm reading, or what I've read, or what I've learned in the 3 principles community, is that if you really think you know, then that stops you from being open to what might be. So I'm perfectly fine with the idea that I have to remind myself, no, I don't know that. Let me think. You know, let me not think. Let me be open.
Is it challenging for you as a psychologist to like, because as in your role as a psychologist, you're the professional, you're the one who knows.
And that's one of the big differences between what I see as the type of coaching I want to do and me as a therapist.
So are we cool with this? Can we follow this thread a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, because this interests me, man. So Kathy, can you maybe expand on that a little bit? Well,
because of the whole thing that came up with solution focused, and that was, to me, I was trained as a therapist in solution focused, you know, brief therapy. So when I saw it being taught as a coaching, and especially when they were mixing the students in the same classes and things like that, I have kept a really strong distinction between the two.
Right.
And I started thinking about that, and experientially, they are very different too. And in the role of therapist, I am the expert.
Mm-hmm.
And so it is, and even though as a therapist, I'm less that way than almost any therapist that I have worked with over the years, or any supervisor I have had over the years, or anything like that, I'm still in that role.
Right.
And I'm still seen that way by the people who approach me. And I still use language that's like that more often than I do when I'm coaching. So the coaching is really just being with and opening a space for people to, have their own insights and understandings that will help them move forward. Whereas a therapist, I do a lot of teaching and a lot of, coordinating, literally having this person say something to that person, and, it's much more directive in
Right.
areas. You've done both.
Yeah. Where I start to see the distinction is that the beginning steps of doing therapy with somebody is to do a complete assessment.
Right.
So when you do assessment, you're already looking at something from a perspective of, let me define what's going on with you.
Right.
Can I come up with a diagnosis? And that already implies certain types of follow-up in terms of what the treatment might look like. And so by starting from a place of assessment, it really sets you into a mode of what the assessment's going to lead to.
So do you think that starting from an assessment has the potential, like, does that, I'm not sure if I've got you right here, does that point towards a problem?
In the field of psychology, when you assess somebody, you're assessing for what their psychiatric diagnosis is, so you can bill the insurance.
Right. Well, that's a very truthful thing to say. Yeah, totally.
The insurance won't pay for it unless there is something wrong. It's like you can't just go to the doctor and say, "Hi, I just wanted to stop in and say hello," and have the insurance pay for it. You have to go in and say, "Hi, I have a broken arm," and then they'll pay for it. So it's really a medical model type of difference there.
I once had a client that came to me and I looked at her. This was years and years ago. And we sat down and we started talking, and I said, "What are you doing here? You don't have a problem."
Yeah.
And it threw me, because I was very aware that this was not the normal relationship. She didn't really need anything. So I said, "Why are you coming?" And she said, "Well, I need somebody to talk to. I feel so alone out there."
Oh, wow.
But internally, she was as healthy as you could be, And I didn't know exactly what to do with it.
What did you end up doing?
Talking. It probably looked more like coaching in those days. But that's usually not why people come.
Because they're needing someone to talk to.
Yeah. Usually I think people come because they feel something's wrong, something's off, something needs to be fixed, something needs to change.
Or they're in such despair or confusion, and they've already tried everything they know to get unstuck from where they are.
Most of the kids that we worked with came because somebody was forcing them. The school was saying you have to see somebody. The courts was saying it. Their family was saying it. But basically, they were not all hot about the idea of being in therapy either.
Yeah, I guess that would be a very real thing to have to overcome with clients, like with mandated clients, like getting over that. So how do you get over that resistance?
Relationship.
Same thing. Relationship. Actually, both Kathy and I love working with that population.
Yeah.
because a lot of times what we could do that they didn't expect is we could help them to see things that were positive about their life and who they were that they didn't think was true.
There's been a couple of, you know how in certain groups people will post things and you know that they just want lots of responses.
Does that happen really?
And there's been a couple of groups lately that the question has been, is everybody coachable, or what do you do with somebody who's not coachable? And because of working with that I haven't answered any of them, but because of working with that population of mandated clients, whether they're mandated by child protective services or the courts or the schools or even the parents, I kind of have this belief that, yeah, everybody is coachable, because if they're not being coachable, then you're missing something in the relationship.
Yeah, I would agree.
In my opinion.
Yeah.
So, yeah, go ahead.
No, I'd just jump in the gun in my agreement there. What's everyone else think? Is everyone coachable?
I think so.
Desi Lynn, yeah.
I think when you speak, everybody has a heart. If you speak from your heart to their heart, then
or get over the secondary benefit.
I don't know that there is a secondary benefit. I think that's a psychological understanding.
Well, I had two clients that come to mind that it took a long time because she had depression because her husband one time blew $30,000 and the second time another big amount without telling her. And she was really mad at him and she went to a depression. He felt bad because he felt responsible. And more he felt responsible for his depression, the more she got depressed. And no meds were doing anything for her. And part of her was happy they were suffering, seeing her suffer. She wanted him to suffer, right? And so it took a while to get over that. The fact that she was hurting herself for the pleasure of hurting him, in a sense, to get back at him. It took a little while. And another one, she needed to stay sick to go to the court to prove the other person that the other person did something wrong to her. And again, even though she was suffering until she went to court, she was not willing of letting that go. So there was a secondary benefit there. Yeah.
So Jesse, you said something that just really just gave me an awareness, that facilitated an awareness in me. You said that when you speak heart to heart, that that just made the distinction and the key. That's why I wasn't responding to any of those, I think, any of those questions that I had seen posted and stuff, is I think people who were saying, yes, you have to want to be coached and you want to be committed to yourself. And so anybody who isn't coachable, and all these answers that were on there. And I was thinking that if you have a relationship, what you said, Jesse, made it clear to me that it wasn't that I was coaching the personality in front of me. Mm-hmm. Or it's not that I'm coaching that person. It's that if I'm coming from my heart to their heart. So I love that you said that, because that's why I think everybody is coachable, is because that relationship, that heart to heart. Now, if it's personality to personality, I agree, then it's probably not. But so thank you, Gusty. That was helpful to help me make that distinction in my own thinking.
And Kathy, what you just said, if you're coaching personality to personality as opposed to heart, like that's like speaking to me right now. I guess I should be pointing here. It's speaking to me here. Because as soon as we are coaching personality to personality, the ego's there.
Yeah.
Right. One way or another, we're bringing our narrative to the coaching. It's impossible to, like, if we're going, I really like that. That's cool, man. Personality to personality. Oh, I like that. Cool. What a great conversation already, eh? Way to go. Yeah, the heart-to-heart idea is neat, eh? I think it's I will say as a beginner coach, thankfully you can make a heart-to-heart connection, because that's enough. And I don't mean that, definitively that's all that you need. You need a skill set, but it certainly seems like when you do connect to someone, heart to heart, then you can fumble and bumble and generally good things come out of that kind of egoless connection, eh?
Yeah, that's where the feeling comes from.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And isn't it cool that you really can, like, if you're sitting there with someone, even the way that we are now, you can feel connection happening, or at least I think I can.
Mm-hmm.
I have a client that I'm coaching now, and I might have shared this. We're beginning. I'm going to start billing him in the number of tingles he gets. Like, oh, I'm getting all tingly. This is good. I'm getting all tingly. So I'm going to start billing him according to the tingle. But there's just something about connection and curiosity and innocence and exploration. Like, and I noticed it with the client I'm working with now, how up until a couple of weeks ago, I was trying to apply a model. I'm trying to learn how to coach it, and I was trying all this stuff. And in the last conversation, I just kind of took a step back and followed him. He led the conversation. I just kind of followed along and asked him questions about it. And I didn't feel a need to talk to him about the principles or talk to, he's got 3 different topics. I let him flow with all of them. And, he sent me a message afterwards saying, great conversation. And I got off the call thinking, what did we just do? I didn't coach you. I'm not a therapist. What the hell just happened? So there's something about, I don't know, an innocence of connection that just makes things good, or at least makes them not worse. What do you think?
What you're talking about reminded me, I think, of something similar. Years ago, I started a housing program.
Sorry, say that again, Francis?
Years ago, I started a housing program.
Oh, cool.
And this was for people who had really severe diagnoses, like schizophrenia, very, very heavy-duty diagnosis. And at times, when we processed what was going on, the staff would be sitting together doing our morning meeting, and we would be stuck with somebody. Something wasn't working, we couldn't get through. And what we learned in those meetings was that the reason that we weren't getting through never had anything to do with the client. It always had something to do with the staff. It's like what, I'm thinking of Jamie calls it calibrating yourself.
Right.
That basically, I think that what we learned is that one of the keys to this heart-to-heart connection is sometimes we need to step back and look at ourselves. And that creates the opportunity when we get open for that connection to happen.
Yeah, I agree. When we can sort of set this, so yeah, Jamie talks about calibration, right? Calibrating yourself and also calibrating to the client, I think, as well, right? Yeah, and if we can, it seems if we can calibrate ourselves, it makes it easier for the other person to fall into calibration, to fall into that relationship. And then once you do, that's, to me, that's where that connection, that heart-to-heart connection happens.
Yeah, and it was like magic to us, because once the staff was clear, we didn't have to do anything. It just changed.
Yeah. Why doesn't everyone know this? Or does everyone know this?
Well, that was years before I was introduced to any of this. So I know it's out there,
Mm-hmm.
and I know that it happens all the time.
Mm-hmm. What else is coming up for people this morning on this fine Saturday morning? Except wherever Roger is, because it's 4 p.m. there, right, Roger? Oh, maybe Hans too. Are you guys both in Sweden?
Yes.
Oh, so it's 4 o'clock. It's the afternoon there.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And the thing I was thinking about everybody's being coachable, that time is a big factor. Time in session length and time spent together, and also timing. You need to find the person in a coachable moment. Sometimes you're not. So I agree with all the things that you said, but I also think that time is important. Some people can be coached in a few minutes and have great insights, and for some it takes time. For me, for example, I need to hear stuff a lot of times before anything stick.
Do you think it's possible that your own beliefs about how it works for you colors how you see other people, how it works for other people?
Yeah, I think it's different for other people. So I don't think I just think it is a factor, and it's not all the same for all people. For some people, they can get coached in a short time, and for other people it takes more time.
Well, that may sorry, Hans. I mean, that may be true, but does that in of itself speak to coachability? You know, that's just the acknowledgement that all people are different. But does time make someone more or less coachable?
Yeah, if I say that everybody's coachable if you got enough time, and some people are coachable if you only got 30 minutes. Not everybody is coachable if you find them at the wrong time in their life. So that's sort of what I'm saying. Everybody's coachable if you got the time and timing.
What do you think, everyone? Thanks, Hans.
Something in that about that everybody's coachable if you've got the time. That matches perfectly with my therapy thinking. And what I realized is that if I'm thinking about coachable as reaching a goal, if coaching is there to achieve a specific goal, then I could agree with that. I usually think that coaching is more than that, and people come in to achieve a certain goal. So I get that idea of within a certain time, because I think that in order to achieve a certain goal, there usually is, but not always, a specific timeline there. I'm thinking, I work from a position of knowing what people's goals are for both the session and for the long term. And yet, when I'm working from the three-piece perspective, I'm not necessarily thinking about how to help them reach their goals. Don't know whether that made any sense or not.
I don't know. I'll have to sit with that. I'll have to watch that again.
I came to think about another thing about time and coachability, that you never know. The coaching never stops. So you can have a conversation and you believe that this person wasn't coachable. We achieved nothing, and you never see that person again. And maybe a month, a year, 10 years from now, they hear something, they remember something from that conversation, and they're being coached. So you never know in the moment what's happening, really.
I like that.
True.
We're planting seeds, I guess, eh? Yeah, my experience with the coachability, I mean, I taught martial arts for many years, and I operated a gym for many years. I've been coaching for 15 years or so. And I used to describe certain clients as uncoachable because they didn't do what I told them to do. So that made them uncoachable. Could have made them stubborn. It could have meant that they had a certain pain that I didn't know about. There's all kinds of things could factor into why they weren't, why I was perceiving them as not coachable. And what I came to find more and more is that it is about me as the coach. The more that I can let go of what I want to give someone, the easier it is for me to find out what they want or need in that moment. So for me personally, although I like what you're saying, Hans, about the time, and I get it, that to look at it objectively, you need someone willing and you need to have connection. My thinking, though, is anyone who comes into your office, anyone who picks up the phone to talk to you is ready to be coached. Otherwise, they wouldn't be reaching out. They're already at the stage where they acknowledge they need help. So I think that in and of itself, that reaching out is saying, hi, I'm coachable. Now your job is to figure out how to coach that person. I don't know if that, I can see Kathy nodding with that. And what thoughts on that? thumbs up. Well, thanks, Hans. And I'm not, I would never like, I think I understand what you're saying on the two fronts, that you plant a seed, you never know what's going to happen 5 or 6 or 10 years down the road. I mean, I've had people come back to me at the gym and thank me for something that I long forgot that made an impression on them 4 years earlier. Do you remember when you said that to me? No. So you never know, but I'm not sure. I'm not sure that as coaches, we can ever put the onus on not being coachable on the other person, whether there's a timing factor or not. I don't think we can ever say it's because of something other than our connection. I think that's the only thing that could ever stop coaching from being helpful. But I don't have a lot of experience, so I'm but I have to say this conversation to me is fascinating. There's so much experience in this room here right now with this. It's pretty cool. Lynn, what do you think about that? Coachable, not coachable?
I don't know. I don't always consider myself a coach. I think I'm more of a mentor than a coach. The women that I work with are recovering from divorce due to infidelity.
Right.
So they just want to know that they're going to be okay at the end of it. So there's not really there is a goal, I suppose. But, they want to be hopeful for life as a single woman after being married. So I share a lot of my own healing journey with these women. And so I consider myself more of a mentor than a coach. So.
And do you find in that role, be it mentor or coach, do you find that people put up resistance to getting better?
No. I mean, they get stuck in their story. That's the other thing too. I meet them where they're at, so I listen to their story, and I give them time to do that because they're hurting, they're in pain. So, but I don't spend a lot of time there. I try to move it around to the beautiful, adventurous, meaningful, fulfilling life that they can have.
Sure.
Again, after this traumatic thing that's happened to them. And I use myself as an example of that.
So you focus on a solution. I mean, to use that language, solution focused again, you're focusing on a positive outcome. You're focusing on a solution rather than delving into the who, what, where, and why of it all.
Yeah. And like people who are stuck in victim mode, I can't help them. I want to work with people who are ready to take the world by storm and move on, and they're ready. They're ready to start again.
And it sounds like there's a choice there of who you prefer to work with, like where.
Oh yeah, my niche is really, really narrow, right. Very narrow.
Right. Yeah.
Very specific. And I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing. Sometimes I think it's a bad thing, because I'm not looking at other people that I could help. But I want to be seen as the go-to person for a specific group of people.
Right. I would think that would have a fair bit of transferability. You're helping people post-trauma, post-relationship trauma.
Mm-hmm.
And that seems to me if you can be empathetic and compassionate in that circumstance, you could do it in I would think you could do it in just about any circumstance. Like apply that skill set to any kind of coaching, I would think.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah.
Probably.
It sounds like it would have good transferability.
Mm-hmm.
What's everyone else doing?
I'm thinking
I got to go.
Oh, Roger.
I want to leave you with a little piece.
Please.
About everyone's being coachable. Even if they're forced into the conversation, they come in and think you can go shit yourself sitting there. The quote that came to me was, "The heart never misses." Back to the heart-to-heart conversation. You give something from your heart in that moment, and the time will come when that person will get that little space we talked about, the insights you talked about. And there comes the time after that, if that's later the day or 10 years, but it will land sooner or later.
Well, and Sid Banks talks about that, very emphatically. Don't worry about it if you don't understand it. It's okay. Just go on about your business, and maybe next week or next month you'll be driving along and you'll hear something.
Yeah.
So, I like that. It's very positive.
Yes, indeed.
Anyway.
Thanks for today.
Yeah, Roger. We'll talk soon. We'll see you next Saturday, man.
Yeah.
Take it easy.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye, Roger. Bye.
I was thinking about this whole topic, and what I think I came up with as a way to approach it is that, on the one hand, what coaching is that connection, and it's about that mystery that we're a part of, and when we touch on it, we know we've touched on something special. But then there's another side to it that has to do with the longer term purpose, function for the coach. So it might be to build the team in a work setting. It might be to work with a group of people that are part of a mastermind to learn certain skills or whatever. So it helps me to see the two. They're not in opposition to each other, because that first sense of touching on the mystery, touching something great within us, makes any of the other work we do come alive. And the other work we do might be, in terms of time, a goal that we know we're going to come back to over and over for the next year.
This has been a really nice Saturday.
Yeah, love it.
I was trying to let myself say something profound after that, Francis, but I got nothing, man. Nothing to follow that with.
Part of the mystery.
Yeah, exactly. But I felt something there, so you know. But well, what are we doing for the weekend? What kind of plans does everyone have? I know that I've been away from my deck for about 2 hours now. I have to get up there pretty soon. I'm sure it misses me by now. It's amazing. It's amazing how attached I am to this inanimate object called deck. This makes me happy.
For me, it's my pool.
there you go. It's nice to finally have some weather. Eh? Jessie Lynn, what are you up to? Hey, well, hold on. Hey, Lena, are you still there? Lena? Oh, well, we'll see. What's everyone else up to? Hans, what are you doing for the weekend?
Yeah, I'm getting in my car in a few minutes, and I'm gonna drive 100 kilometers with my son to attend a concert with one of his favorite rappers. So that's gonna be.
Who's that favorite rapper?
Yeah, his name is Petter, and yeah, he's a Swedish rapper, so he's raps in Swedish, and it's his first concert, so he's a bit nervous. So
how old is your son?
He's 14.
Oh, so is this guy your favorite rapper as well?
Yeah, used to be 20 years ago. I liked him a lot. So.
Oh, so he's been around for ages then.
Yeah.
And that's surprising.
Yeah, he's about my age, but.
Well, that's what I mean. We're old, man.
Yeah, we are.
It seems that's pretty neat, though, that your son likes a rapper that you liked.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't even know the music my son listens to, let alone like it. Anyway, I digress. Sorry. Well, that sounds like fun. And does anyone else have anything exciting going on?
I'm going to a barbecue in Georgetown.
Nice. Yeah. What's the barbecue for?
Well, it's an annual event, actually. Friends of mine, Rob and Roxanne, I've known them since Rob I've known since I was 12, I think. And Roxanne, I think I met her when I was in my 20s, but they have an annual poetry night.
Oh.
And Rob belongs to the Georgetown theater group.
Right.
So the majority of the people that come to this event are from his theater group. There's typically around 30, 40 people there, and it's just an amazing event. And they have like a little podium set up with like fairy lights all around this kind of, I don't know what you call it, pergola thing or whatever. I'm not sure what it's called. And they have like a microphone, and everybody gets up there and just recites poetry.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, it's cool. It is cool. They have it all set up with seats and everything. And you can either write your own poem or just, recite a poem that you love or lyrics of a song or whatever. It's fun. And then we have a big bonfire after.
Nice. Bonfires are one of my favorite things in the world. You might have noticed. What are you bringing to the poetry contest? Or not contest, but what's your piece? What are you going to share?
Well, normally I'm better organized than I have been this year. I usually, find one or two poems, a week or so before the event, but I've been really, really busy this week, and I've got my houses on the market now, and I've been dealing with realtors and my son in Vietnam, and I guess it dawned on me yesterday that, oh my God, I haven't got a poem. This thing is tomorrow, and I haven't got a poem. So I went on there's a group, it's a 3P poetry and prose group.
Oh, right.
And I went on there yesterday, and I just kind of was scanning, kind of on the search for a poem. And I came across one by Elizabeth Lovius, I think her name
Oh,
is.
she's a beautiful writer.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. And I picked a poem. It's called Time to Feel. And I read it. And I read it like 3 times in a row. And I thought, and every time I read it, like it was going deeper and deeper. I really felt the essence of what she was saying. So I asked her for her permission if I could print it out and recite it tomorrow. And she goes, "Oh yes, of course."
Do you have it with you? Do you have it here? Can we hear
Yeah,
it?
I do. Yeah, sure.
Are we good with that? You guys want to hear this?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, hang on, I'll go get it.
All right, cool. And then we can boo and hiss. What am I doing today? I know, I think I just heard my son come in, so we're going to do a big brunch this morning. And then, I've got some shingles to put on still.
Okay,
What's that?
I was Lena.
Oh, hey, Lena.
I going to a crazy farmer's day.
You going to a what?
Crazy farmer's day.
Crazy Farmer's Day.
What?
It's a 3 days party in Blekinge, in Sweden.
In Sweden.
It's only here in Ronneby, heter det. It's the name, a crazy farmer's day.
What does one do at a crazy? What's going on in Sweden?
A massive crazy thing.
Well, I want you to come on the call and tell us what happened next time.
Yes. I don't speak so good English. Maybe
okay.
Hans can speak.
Hans? I mean, Alina, I think you're doing great. Your English is way better than my Swedish, let me tell you.
Yes, it's nice.
Hans, do you know what she's talking about?
No, but I have to check it out. Sounds like fun.
Well, I don't know. Crazy Farmer's Day? That sounds fun. Lynn, let's hear the poem.
Okay.
Let's hear it.
It's kind of long, but
that's okay. We've got 2 minutes. Get started.
Okay, it's called Time to Feel. I want to speak of softness and the beauty of the moon, a light that softly opens hearts and lets us gently swoon. I want to speak of kindness and of listening with deep love, the kind of ears that change the tide from ebb to flow above. I want to speak of openness, allowing all with grace, of opening and receiving, and helping us to face the hardships of just living and just being who we are, the harshness of competing in a world that's full of war. It's time now for a gentler tone, a sweeter, softer choice. It's time for that which has no name to also have a voice, to sit at the big table and be heard with open hearts, the balanced view, the human touch, the formless spiritual art. The essence of our nature deserves a seat and more. We only will survive this place if we can learn to soar and remember why we came here, to remember what will serve, to remember we are love and light, and remember we deserve and yearn for our connection to divinity and to earth. We must know what is treasure, what is really wealth and worth. I call upon the grandmother, the maiden and the mother, the woman of all ages, the crone and the sweet lover, the feminine in all her forms. Her time has come and fast. We really need her gift right now if we are all to last. It's time to go beyond the mind, mad thoughts that run the show. It's time to place our faith and trust in a deeper kind of know. It's time to all remember that what will help us heal is letting go of big ideas. It's time to really feel.
That's a good fucking poem, man.
I know, I read it the first time and I thought there's something in this, like major. So I read it like 2 or 3 times, and every time I read it, it was just like going deeper and deeper. So yeah, I like it.
I can't think of a better way to end a call than on that, man. That's
Can you post it?
Sure.
yeah,
I mean, it's Elizabeth. You can find it on that group.
what's
Yeah.
what's the name of it again?
I think I think I have it. Like I think it's on her thing. I can share it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Jesse, that's really nice.
Yeah.
This has been really wonderful today.
Good.
Yeah. Thank you all. That's very cool. Any last words?
I just had a quick for Lynn. I just wanted to know how your son's doing.
Well, thank you for asking, Jesse. We've had a big turnaround this week, good and bad, sad and happy. The woman that was involved in the accident, she passed away.
Oh.
She passed away on Tuesday. Now she passed away because she caught meningitis in the hospital.
Oh.
So she had died of an infection. Because she was actually improving from the actual accident. She came out of her coma and she was like awake and moving her limbs. She wasn't talking or she had to be fed, but she was on the mend, that she was coming out of it. And then she had a really bad turn about 3 weeks ago. She just like went downhill from there, and she caught meningitis. And she passed away. Now it's very sad, and I can't even imagine what my son is going through.
Yeah.
So it looks like he's going to be coming home. He's in the middle of talking with the family now. They just want to get it over with and just like let it go, and he can leave. But we're in the negotiations about money now, about a settlement. They were very reluctant to come up with a settlement amount before because they didn't know what her long-term care would be. So, like, she needed to have 24-hour care for, could have been years or decades. Like, so they weren't happy to come with a settlement amount. So he's already raised $10,200 from his GoFundMe campaign, which is amazing, absolutely amazing. And I think he said to me last night that he's going to do an update on the GoFundMe page and let everybody know what's happening. He sent a letter to the family, a beautiful letter. Oh my God, I was crying when I read the letter that he wrote to the family yesterday, or the day of her funeral. Actually, he wrote it, and he said to them that they already know the figure that he's raised already. They know that. And he said he wants to try and do more. So if anybody can suggest a way for me, I'd like to help him raise another $5,000, because he said that in his letter, he said he wants to try and raise more than the $10,000 that he already has. So I want to help raise another $5,000. And
would you post the link to his GoFundMe?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. And so, like, I'm having a garage sale next week, and I'm selling a bunch of furniture before I move out west in the fall. And all of that money that I get from both of those things is going to go to it. So I'm trying to think of really clever ways to raise.
What about an auction?
An auction?
Yeah, I spoke at a business meeting last week, and one of the ladies, it was she had a fundraiser for epilepsy. And they were just talking about the success of the auction, and people at the table paid like $300 for a pie, but it wasn't for the pie; it was for the cause.
Right. Yeah.
So maybe.
I need to put my head together, because I've never, like, I don't want to start another GoFundMe thing, because I guess keep the one that we have. It's just going to get too complicated if I start another one myself. So I have to think of clever ideas for me to raise money separately from what he's trying to do.
And it's lots of work, Ghislaine. We did when I was the chair of an association here, and somebody was sued, and to pay for his legal costs, because it was a fraudulent suit. It was a frivolous suit, but it was still $60,000. Oh, for that in his 70s. So we did that, and it's lots of work.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
So yeah, so it's looking hopeful that hopefully he'll be back soon. Like this is like the most positive move. Like the police and the lawyers are all saying that they just want this wrapped up now. And I think the police have been getting a lot of pressure from the embassy to like let's get this done. So it's the family just needs to come up with they just have to be able to accept the amount of money that we're offering.
Right.
So that's where we're at.
Well, my thoughts and prayers are with all you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Hopefully it continues on to a positive resolution for everyone.
Yeah, we're looking forward to the celebration party when he gets home.
Nice. Yeah, I'll bet.
Yeah.
Well then, ladies and gentlemen, have an awesome day, man.
Yeah,
You
too.
as well.
Yeah,
Thank you.
go be nice to someone today. Not that you're not always, but I don't know.
Thank you.
You ruined my plans.
Hey, that's right. You're gonna go miserable, right?
Yeah.
All right. Awesome chat.
Okay.
Yeah,
Bye.
thanks. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Yeah.